All right, this is a bit of a shorter presentation for us, so we're just going to cover some of the highlights from our Hmong 101 presentation. Thank you all for coming today. And I do want to point out, we do have our Hmong Cultural Center on University Avenue in St. Paul. It's Western University, and we do have an exhibit center there. And we have a lot of information in our exhibits. We just installed sort of phase 2 of our exhibits. And I strongly encourage you to stop by. There's a lot of information and a lot to learn, for visitors at our center, at University of Western St. Paul. All right, so we're going to get started with our Hmong 101 presentation. I'm going to start by briefly talking about the Hmong population around the world. And the largest Hmong population is in China, and the estimates may be about 3.5 million. There is some confusion in China because the government of China uses the broader Miao category, MIAO, and they put some other ethnic groups in that category too. So sometimes you might hear 10 million Miao in China, and sometimes Miao is translated as Hmong, but not everybody who's Miao is Hmong. So actually the scholarly estimates that I've seen, the responsible ones, about 3.5 million Hmong in China. So that's the largest Hmong population in the world is still in China. And then Vietnam, it's about 1 million. Laos, 450,000. Thailand, 150,000. A small population in Burma, which is now called Myanmar, of course. And then the latest estimate in the United States, this is from the 2014 American Community Survey, is just over 300,000 Hmong in the U.S. And that's up from 260,000 in the 2010 census. So you can see the population's been continuing to grow quite a bit in the U.S. And then there's small populations in France, Australia, Canada, French Guiana, and a few other countries, and like Argentina, New Zealand, and Germany. All right, I'm going to skip over some of these slides since we don't have that much time today, but I just point out that the Hmong population in China is mostly in southwest China, so it'd be Guizhou and Yunnan provinces. And in that box is sort of the Hmong belt, you might call the Hmong belt of Southeast Asia and southwest China. The Hmong don't have their own state. They don't have enough people to have their own state in any of those countries. They're a minority group in all those countries, however, though, in China, Laos, Vietnam, and Thailand. Briefly on Hmong history, we have a nice library at our center, so if you're interested, we do have quite a few books on this topic, and I'm going to tell you, there's not good information on the Hmong history going way back. There's pretty good information maybe going back 300 years in China or so. So there is linguistic evidence that the Hmong, were in China, going back, 2,000-3,000 years. But there are some theories that the Hmong came from other parts of the world, their folk tales and so on, and some missionaries who worked with the Hmong in the early 20th century. They had some theories that the Hmong came from like the Middle East and other parts of the world. There's a lack of good evidence to support those theories. But we know that the Hmong have been in China for a long time. And we get into the timeline of recent Hmong history. So it's important to point out that the Hmong, they were in China for a long time, but they did not move into Southeast Asia until the 1790s, 1850s AD. And there was a lot of persecution of the Hmong in China at that time. There are high taxes. And then more recently, the Vietnam War era really started in the early 1960s through 1975. And then the communists took over Laos in 1975. And then the Hmong refugee movement after the communists took over Laos. That's in the spring of 1975. And then to the refugee camps in Thailand, and then eventually to the Western countries, resettled as refugees into the Western countries. And then more recently, some of you may remember the refugees from the Wat in Thailand, and that was from 2004 to 2008. All right, very briefly, we'll talk about how the Hmong assisted the CIA during the Vietnam War era. And it really, so those informal the informal links between the Hmong and the CIA really started in the late 1950s. And there was this guy named Mr. Pop, Edgar Buell, and he was a farmer from Indiana, also a humanitarian, but he had CIA connections. So he started working in some Hmong villages in the late 1950s. And there was a more formal relationship that started in 1961 when Colonel Bill Lair, representing the CIA, met with General Bang Pao. And this photo is in, I believe, November 1961, and it's CIA officers training the Hmong in Laos. And Champao, do you want to just say a few words about the Hmong working with the CIA?
Keep going. Go ahead. Thank you. Thank you for the City of St. Paul inviting the Hmong Cultural Center to come here to talk about Hmong community in Minnesota and how we can help the City of St. Paul to create a better environment to the Hmong community in Minnesota here. And Mark already talked more about the Hmong history briefly. So this is the slide here, the picture you saw here is one of the most secret air base during the Vietnam War. They're called Long Chain. And also the CIA and General Vang Pao's headquarters during the Vietnam War. Colonel Biller is he represents the United States and CIA contacting the Royal Lao government. They want the Royal Lao government to helping blocking, not allow the communists spreading from north to south. That means from China to North Vietnam. And it about to enter into Southeast Asia to South Vietnam and to Laos. But the Royal Lao government, they know they'll face more consequences. So that's why they refuse asking their CIA to go to Joe Vang Pao. Because Joe Vang Pao have a history that he's been allied or side with the French during the French colonial in Southeast Asia. So during that time, Colonel or General Vang Pao has born to the Hmong family, but he served his country, the Royal Lao government. He born in Xiên Quan province, northeastern part of the country. And during that time, the three countries in Southeast Asia, they want to become independent. But the French colonial in Southeast Asia still govern those three countries. So Vietnamese, they want to become independent for these three countries. Then Ben Phu is one of the largest French army base in Southeast Asia. Vietnamese asking the French authority in Southeast Asia, they want to fight. If they win, they want the French to give these three countries themselves to govern as their sovereign. So that's why Joe Vang Pao during that times in the 49 to 50, he served the Royal Lao government. His army rank is captain. He took his Hmong soldier from Xiên Quan province, walked to Dien Bien Phu. It took 2 weeks to help the French army base there to defend the base. But he reached there. Vietnamese defeated. So many French soldiers escaped and joined with Joe Vang Pao or Captain Vang Pao group. There were 76 of French soldiers. They returned home safely. So that's why the reason CIA asking the French, who will be your friend when you have good time or bad time? They chosen Joe Vang Pao as one of their allies. That's why the CIA began coming to Laos and they chose Long Chain as their site and their headquarters. And Joe Vang Pao house and the CIA headquarters has been in this place. And the CIA fund Joe Vang Pao to train his Royal Lao government side in his region. He controlled all the commander in Region 2 in Laos. In Laos, there were 5 regions, but he commanded in Region 2. The CIA provides training. For the 3 reasons, the CIA asking the Hmong to help. 1, after training the Hmong soldier, they were sending a small unit to the northeastern part of the country border with North Vietnam and Laos. Any U.S. Air Force flew from Thailand to bomb Hanoi. The airplane been shut down. Hmong soldiers already on the land, on the ground. And the pilot just parachute off. Hmong pilot or Hmong soldier take the pilot to safe zone and call him back to Longcheng. And they were sending helicopter to pick up the pilot back to Thailand. First reason. The second reason, Ho Chi Minh Trail. After training, sending Hmong soldiers as small units stationed along the Ho Chi Minh Trail. Any large movement from north to south, because you know, the U.S. soldiers stationed in South Vietnam, Viet Cong and North Vietnam supporting Viet Cong fight out soldiers in South Vietnam. So the Hmong soldier that sending a small unit see any movement from north to south along the Ho Chi Minh Trail, they calling to Longcheng. Longcheng called to Thailand, the U.S. Air Force base in Thailand. They flew over and bombed any movement. The third reason, during that time, only one road across the northern part of Laos to the two important cities. One is Luang Prabang. That is where the Lao king and prince live in there. What are the most ancient city in Laos? And the capital of Laos, Vientiane, you see on the top corner there. One road go across north and split it. One goes south to Vientiane. The other go west, go to Luang Prabang. Hmong soldiers stationed along that line, not allow any communists go through that road freely. So that's why it takes 15 years for the communist Lao regime to control of the country in the early 1975. May 14, 1975, Jovang Pao and his commander who live in the Longcheng airstrip be able to flee from Laos to Thailand, leaving many of his soldiers, about 20,000 and 30,000 soldiers still fought in the front line, trapped in there. But Hmong begin to flee from Laos to Thailand after Jovang Pao flees because of the communist Lao took control of the country. And they publicly announced they will persecute and execute any Hmong soldier who served under Jovang Pao or the CIA. They give the name to the Hmong soldier during that time, a hunting dog for the CIA. That's why it takes them 15 years to defeat the Royal Lao government. So many Hmong flee from Laos to Thailand. Many they trap behind. So they carry whatever they have, fight against the communist regime. Since 1965 up to every day they have a small pocket fighting against the regime. And this is one of the largest camp in Thailand, we call Ban Vinai camp. I believe many of our young, mid-30 or 30 up to 40, they born in the camp. And many of our parents, they never have experience working in a manufacturer or go to school or see a city like in the city of St. Paul. Because we live in the highland, in the mountain area, our role is work hard in the farm, bring more food to feed the family. But when we come to the United States, things has been totally different from what we live. When we come here, if an elderly who just walk out from the front door and for a couple blocks away from their house, they'll not be able to find their way back to where they live. So that is in the early Hmong refugee who came to the United States facing. And it's hard for them to go to school. It's hard for them to find a place that can get help. But for today's, I believe it's already 40 years, many young Hmong who born and raised in the city of St. Paul or in the United States. We have many of them working in the bank, in the retail store, or in the manufacturer. Our Hmong refugee and parents or adult, they are very good by looking and learning working by hand. So that's why the Hmong refugee who come to the United States and stay in Minnesota, they were working in your manufacturer assembly type. That was the best type work substitute during the time we stay in Laos farming.
All right, very briefly on some of the population and demographics. So this is 2010 data, and so it's getting there. You know, the census is only 10 years. So some of these states we don't have updated data. Now Minnesota we do. So Minnesota's got, you know, a very large Hmong population. So it's a current estimate's about 80,000, and California is about 100, just over 100,000. And I mentioned the 300,000 is the new estimate among in the U.S. And so California has the largest Hmong population. Minnesota's number 2. But if you look in metro areas, you can see the Twin Cities is the Hmong capital of the U.S. So this is 2010 data. So it's going to be up to closer to 80,000, or just maybe 77,000 or so in the Twin Cities metro. And then you can see that's more than double the population in the number 2 city, Fresno, and then Sacramento's number 3 for metro areas with Hmong populations around the U.S. And within Minnesota, I think you guys mostly knew this, the St. Paul is going to be number 1 for your Hmong population. And I've seen new data now for Ramsey County, about 37,000. But 37,000 Hmong in Ramsey County is the current estimate. But, you know, there's growing populations in Maplewood and Oakdale and some of these East Metro suburbs as well. We do like to emphasize how diverse the community is. You know, it's almost 80,000 people. So on this slide, we have some of the types of diversity in the community, the diversity in religion. There's the 2 main dialects, the green or blue and the white Hmong. You have 18 different clans, so very growing Hmong professional class. People who came different time periods. You know, the earlier people came earlier in before the 1990s, and then the people came from the Wat in the 2000s in the local Hmong population. And now you've got a growing immigrant population, family reunion immigration. Even there's Hmong from Vietnam now coming to Minnesota, which is pretty new. All right, briefly, let's say on the demographics, so it's still a very young population. The median age is about 23 for the Hmong, compared to about 38 for the overall Minnesota population. And educational attainment has been improving. A lot of advances, like in the last 15 years in that. But there are still some educational disparities, as you can see on here. About 15% of Hmong Americans have earned a bachelor's degree compared to 30% of the overall U.S. population. But it was about 10% in 2000. And very briefly on the socioeconomics, the poverty rate for the Hmong, this is like across the U.S. about 25%, but the poverty rate was 70% in 1990. So there's been a lot of socioeconomic progress over time. And the number is about the same in Minnesota, about 25%, the poverty rate. And Champao mentioned the manufacturing. So that's the largest concentration still, though it has decreased. So like in 2000, I think it was about 40% among Americans worked in manufacturing. Now it's about 30%. But in terms of one sector, that's still the largest. But as I mentioned, there is this growing professional class too. We have a lot of things to see at our center, so a lot more than we can cover today. So I strongly encourage you to visit us if you can. All right, we're going to get into the clans.
Well, it's very important. The clans we found in the 18 last name. And remember, Hmong we share almost the same last name with the Chinese community in Minnesota too, and probably some in the Korean community too. So usually Lee and Feng and other more like Wu, we almost share the same last name with the Chinese community and the Korean community. Hmong, in Minnesota or in the United States or in Laos, we have 18 last names. But in China, there were over 32 last names. But we consider Hmong in Minnesota here, we have 18 clans. And many of the Hmong, we might using the first name as similar to the last name too. So in case you see anyone who first name and last name look the same. The last name is someone that we always use a comma before the first name. So that is what, if you see the first name is not have a comma, and a comma does mean their first name. For example, they can have Van Yang. You might confuse who Van Yang is. Van is their last name or Yang their last name. That is give you example. Because of in the city of St. Paul, we have a lot of Hmong family and Hmong population here. Just be clear. And 18 clan, we elect our own leader to represent, depend on the term. Some 4-year term, some 2-year term. The clan leader does mean represent anything, any problem within the Hmong family. This clan need to resolve. They don't need to come to the city. They don't need to come to the court. Their family and the 18 clan council, they will resolve the problem. And the clan leader will be the eyes and ears to his community or his people. This clan leader, they need to educate and talk and help their own community to advance themselves and compete with other clans there. Majority, it's we have gathering every year. So that is something to keep that they have something or some activity within the family. Hmong culture, I believe this is many different community in the city of St. Paul, they're concerned about what happened, why we saw a Hmong woman or a Hmong man who just wear different stuff, more like trick-or-treat times. And outside in playing and gong, that is we consider Hmong shaman. Hmong shaman, they do shaman ceremony. In our culture, we believe there were evil spirit and good spirit live with us. And we consider everyone has spirit soul. If someone who destroy somewhere, something, and the evil spirit will take that person's spirit, trap, put in jail. That's why we're going to say the easy word to understand. And the person getting sick, and the family will invite the shaman to do shaman ceremony to see what happened to this person's soul. And the shaman will be able to find out, because this person has been harming the environment. And the spirit just, the environmental spirit take away this person's spirit and put in jail. So this person needs to pay some dues in order for the spirit to release his soul back or her soul back. So that's why the shaman will do shaman ceremony. This picture, I believe many of you might have heard about the Hmong funeral home in Fractal, Lafan and Deal. The city took this building and they want to put down this building, and they asked in the Hmong community to find someone to release the spirit and soul still trapping in the building. That's what the Hmong Cultural Center, Lao Family, Hmong American Partnership, and Hama, we come together. And those organizations are asking the Hmong Cultural Center to find a shaman ceremony. We did find this shaman ceremony. You see some judge paper in front of the shaman. That is, we burn those, and well, those were turned into value. There were about 27 spirits and souls that trapping in the building. One, because the lady hung herself, and she not happy to go. She still stay inside. And the baby, too small to go. So the baby still there. And many other 28, 29 souls still trapped in there. And the shaman inviting and asking the soul still remaining in the building to get out, and will pay those judge paper, and they pay for their way to the grave. So that's why we did. We burned those paper for a few weeks. The city took down the building. So that is what the shaman can do. And shaman can define what happened to each individual. So for the Hmong community, we believe in shaman. Because shaman we use for many thousand years. We keep having a memory that shaman will be the one who will find out what happened in the spiritual world. The doctor, we believe too. The doctor, they will physically see what happened in there. But after, if the doctor not be able to find anything wrong with individual, the shaman is the tool. Will move to the next step. Okay, you have any question? Please feel free to contact us, and we're happy to answer you any question. And we have the Hmong Cultural Center in Fractal in your city here. There will be some information for you to take a look at if you have time. Surely in the future, we have open house. We would like to invite the city of St. Paul come see to see what we have there. It represents to the city of St. Paul, and it represents the whole population in the United States and the state of Minnesota too. So thank you for your time here, and we hope to answer any of your questions today or the next day or in the future. Thanks.
Thank you for your presentation. I just have a question. In terms of how you resolve like conflict, it's kind of similar to where I came from in Africa. Usually people don't jump to court right away. There's a leader in the community, you meet up with the leader and try to resolve things as a family. And I think that's great. And I would thank you for that information.
Could you speak a little bit about how Hmong communicate and share information, either among themselves or with the city and other organizations?
Well, your answer is, your question is very good. In St. Paul here, we have quite a few Hmong organizations. First of all, more like Hmong American Partnership and Lao Family. They were the first few bigger Hmong organizations a long time ago. And many Hmong elderly or refugees, they came to the city of St. Paul here. They go to those organizations and come to the Hmong Cultural Center asking for their help and anything that we can support them. That is what the first step to go. But for the last Hmong refugee, their family had to help them first and will move on to the agency to help and come to the city. So that will be the key information or key thing that it's always come to the family member, get help. Then we'll move on to organization to help and move on to anything beyond that the organization is family member to help, and we'll go to the county for get help. For any other problem, the family need to find someone in the family to come and talk first, and we'll go on to the law enforcement to help.
And I want to add, in terms of communication, in terms of reaching community members, Hmong radios, we find like for our own programs, we actually have to pay for ads, but we have citizenship classes, English classes. The Hmong radio is really effective reaching the middle-aged and elderly population. We also do flyers like at Hmong Village, and I know a lot of like community events or like even outside of the Hmong community, they come into Hmong Village and they'll have an event there. So I'd say outreach to organizations and using the Hmong media. There's actually 3 newspapers, and there's actually I think 3 radio stations. There might be some more internet stations, or even some as a TV, an HD TV as well. So there's quite a broad media landscape, and then the flea markets with flyers among town and Hmong Village.
I know that a lot of elderly people, when they come to this country, there's a kind of cultural shock, and sometimes the transition between where you came from to the new culture is not easy. How do Hmong find that transition? Is it smooth? Is it a difficult transition? I personally know that when my mom came here, she had a tough time. She had a tough time, and she couldn't handle it. She had to leave. But I want to know your perspective.
Thank you. Thank you for asking that. We were immigrant community. We facing the same problem. Matter of fact, in the Hmong community, we don't have our own country. So no matter what, we need to adjust ourselves to fit to the environment in the new country. Even like I mentioned earlier, our elderly, they came to the United States early. They don't know how to read and write. They barely walk out and learning where they live, where their house, and they walk a couple blocks and they walk back to their house and they move on. That is what the Hmong community, when we first came to the state of Minnesota, we facing a lot of problem, but everyone need to handle with ourselves that how we can better improve ourselves. The elder always say to the young that we want you to go to school, study hard. Our old time is almost over, but we will be here for you, support you. So that's what it takes many years for the Hmong community in Minnesota here to get to this point. So still a lot of things we need to work hard and move on to the future to help out the state of Minnesota and the United States too.
How do you become a shaman?
Become a shaman, we consider born with. Born with. Become shaman is not like we go train from university or college to become a shaman. Born with. When we born, grow in certain age, the shaman spirit will come and find you and give you some knowledge. The knowledge is more like you'll feel very pain and very sick. If the doctor not be able to find anything wrong with you, that means your family need to find a shaman to do shaman ceremony. And if the shaman say, oh, this person will become a shaman, so the family need to find a master to help this person to become a shaman. After becoming a shaman, this person will go back to normal person, and the shaman spirit will go help other people who get sick too. So that's what become a shaman.
Thank you both so very much. I also believe that you are able to come to like maybe specific departments and do presentations with them. Obviously, I know that you've been welcoming them to come to the Cultural Center as well. I think it would be very, really rich discussion if you actually could be going to each individual department, because then there's specific issues that the questions would be about. So thank you both so very much. We really appreciate it.
We often have group tours come to our center too, and so we can do a customized sort of a tour. We actually have displays related to all these topics at our center. Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you so very much.
Thank you.